Baruch Dayan HaEmet, we praise the Judge of Truth. On our way over to the grave, we read Psalm 90, which, among other things, speaks of a good and long life is 70 years and 10, or given strength 80 years. And your dear Addie, just shy of 90 years. We're thankful for this gift of long life. From Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim ba'aretz. Al yitein lamot raglecha. Al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum v'lo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha. Adonai tzidcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yekaka v'erech balayla. Adonai shmarcha mikol ra. Yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai shmar tzedcha v'uecha me'ata v'ad olam. I lift up mine eyes unto the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. The Lord will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian. He is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from all harm. The Lord will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Allergies. Right. And we have to explain every cough, right? Death has taken your beloved Adeline Davis. Rosha Etzel, Bat Abraham, Vamina Rochel. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Addie's love that united so many people in life, and which death cannot sever. For her companionship that was shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind that brought joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more, we give our thanks to God. It is a time of grief and a time of sadness. And so we listen once again to the voice of our sacred scriptures from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator. In light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together let us recite in the English the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We now will hear words of tribute and praise. Who would like to speak first? Mark, please come and speak of your dear mother, and then Lucky, see if you get a chance to talk about mother-in-law. Sorry I gave you the nickname. I hope it's okay with you so far. Please. We were this exact spot 44 years and 5 days ago. I want to thank all of you attending today, whether here in person or online. It's very much appreciated. I also want to thank Rabbi Eisenberg for being here today as well. This has been a very
tough and tragic year for everyone. And Mom's timing to break her hip 2 days before the COVID shutdown couldn't have been worse. Not being able to hold her hand or hug and kiss her for her final 6 months was heartbreaking. But we should also be celebrating her 89 years well lived. Talking to friends and family this past few days, a few things about Mom have stood out. First, all of my childhood buddies, who remain my best friends to this day, have all said that I had the coolest mom with the best sense of humor. Others said I had the hottest mom. We had a pool table in our basement during high school, so our house became one of our hangouts, playing the Tommy album over and over and over because it was the only album I owned.
Good album.
Right, Maury? Mom would always offer refreshments and chat with the guys. Now, 50 years later, even as recently as last week, she would still ask about Maury, Scott, Larry, Paul, Steve, and the others. She really cared about their lives, their families, and their achievements. Looking back now on our happy childhood, Wendy and I knew we were loved. Mom was sort of like June Cleaver on Leave It to Beaver, always vibrant and elegant with a perfect home. I guess that means I was the beaver. With Maury as Eddie Haskell, although a sincere one. Another thing that stood out about Mom was that she was a supreme caretaker. Unfortunately, having the care for sick loved ones, including her parents, her grandmother, then my dad, and later my stepdad, attending to them all literally 24/7 for many years. She was rewarded with 5 grandchildren, starting at the age of only 43. So she was Nana for more than half of her life. Being Nana was a role she absolutely loved and thrived in. She was also mom to Steve and Rita and Marty Davis and Rob Davis, who she loved as her own. When Matthew was born, she was always happy to pass on childcare advice. During one of these conversations, I said to her, "You know, Mom, that I'm a pediatrician?" And she answered, "Oh, right." Then proceeded with her advice anyway, which was usually spot on. Her extensive knowledge wasn't book learning, it was learning by living and loving. Mom and Dad always encouraged Wendy and me to do what we loved, whether in the arts or medicine or whatever. They were always positive when discussing our interests and our lives. I've tried to follow in her footsteps as a parent, and I know Wendy has as well. Mom was also quite opinionated. If she had an opinion, you knew it. I think Wendy and I have followed in her footsteps there too. In her later years, if you really wanted to piss her off, all you had to say were 2 words: assisted living. Mom also had 6 great-grandchildren, including Sammy, who was born less than 3 weeks ago. Although she never met him in person, she did see pictures of him and could not have been more pleased. She loved them all with all her heart. Mom, we will all love you and miss you forever. One last thing, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but my mom voted for over 60 years, and she can't vote this year, but I know she would ask all of you listening to please vote. Thank you.
Well, you may not know We wrote these independently because we said many of the same things.
That's why I wanted to go first.
Yeah, that was a good idea on your part. But if I were asked to describe Adeline Amster Collin Davis in one word, it would be strong. She manifests her strength in different ways. Adeline was physically strong. She was never the damsel in distress. Those of you who know her knew that. When work needed to be done, she rolled up her sleeves and got to it. Her house was always immaculate. I was only 18 when I met Wendy, her parents, and her brother Mark, who had just had his bar mitzvah, actually. And even then was always in awe of her antique-filled home and the energy she had to care for her family. She was also, and I will call it strong-willed, determined, independent, and one learned soon enough that Addie was an unstoppable force and not to be reckoned with. It was not long also before I realized that Addie had become a caregiver at a very early age. And Mark talked about this a bit. She and her husband Mitch had 2 children while still in their 20s. And then while she was still in her early 30s, Addie's father, Abe, suffered a catastrophic stroke. And she and her sister, Sandra, assumed day-to-day responsibility for him and their mother, Minnie, along with their own families at that time. They continued to care for Minnie after Abe's death. At age 43, Adeline's teenage sweetheart and husband, Mitch, was diagnosed with leukemia. I was married to Wendy by then and part of the family and watched as Addie selflessly and lovingly cared for him until his death. She had a number of very happy years with Ed Davis, her second husband, before he developed serious illnesses and then suffered a devastating fall. Addie again rose up as his caregiver and also his champion for over 3 years until he too died. She dedicated herself to others. She never complained of life was unfair and not easy. But at the same time, she was able to take pleasure in the children and helping to care for the 5 grandchildren as well over the years. In a sad twist of fate, and again, I'm echoing what Mark said, that she fractured her hip in March just before the pandemic. And within days, no one in the family could become the caregiver and comforter that she had always been for others. Visits were limited to a screen and through a window, and more recently outside at a distance. Wendy and I last saw Adeline last Friday. It was fortunate we were here this weekend in from Durham just by chance. And we met in the Menorah Park courtyard. We wore masks and very cruelly could not hug her or squeeze her hand or provide any solace to her. For the 52 years I've known Adeline, I've always looked at her as indomitable. This is a high tribute indeed and a wonderful way for her to be remembered. So I think she'll live on as that unconquerable spirit that we all knew. Thank you.
And to all of those words spoken as a prayer, let us say Amen. There's actually a Torah teaching which you speak about her that I think is incredibly apt. In the book of Exodus, chapter 35, our ancestors schlepping through the wilderness, and then they're commanded by God. God tells Moses, have the Israelites bring gifts for the construction of the tabernacle. And our ancestors are bringing gifts and gifts and gifts. And finally, God has to tell Moses in Exodus chapter 36, verse 6, let no man or woman bring forward any more gifts for the construction of the tabernacle. Our ancestors didn't know when to stop giving. And based upon what you were saying about Addie and our conversation with her, about her, this is really her in so many ways. She just didn't know when to stop. And in so many ways, we thank God for that. She didn't know when to stop being loving, caring. She didn't know when to stop being hot, right, when your friends were over. She didn't know when to stop doing those things, and thank God for those things. She had a wonderful sense of humor. She had a very big, kind heart. So we have the heart tie for the big, big heart. Addie and Mitch met when they were young. And he thought he got quite a catch because she looked like Lana Turner, you said. You know, blonde, green eyes, good figure. And she did. And they were married September 18th, 1949 at Silver's Temple. Abba Hillel Silver, of blessed memory, did the wedding. It was a good marriage filled with many blessings and challenges, as in every life. And when Mitch died September 17th, 1976, it was just the day before the 27th wedding anniversary. And as you mentioned, Mark, she died, it's the same calendar month as when he passed away, separated by 44 years and 5 days. And she is being laid to rest, her body is being laid to rest next to him. You have mentioned all of the names. Well, no, not actually. I'll mention the names. Okay. Blessed with family. 2 children, 5 grandchildren, 6 great-grandchildren. If I make a mistake, it's a season of forgiveness, but correct me right away. All right, Wendy, married to Steve. Mark, married to Rita. Grandchildren, Daniel, married to Deborah. Meredith, married to Martin. Matthew, Lissy, married to Daniel. And Noah, great-grandchildren, Jason, Julie, Andreas, Maya, Ezra, and the newborn, Samuel. Wendy, you said our dad owned a dry cleaning store. It was a family business. And then they went into antiques. And after he died, she started to work at Mount Sinai. The house was very stylish. They loved mid-century furniture and then antiques. Over the years, she played mahjong, canasta. She liked to read. She liked to go to house sales and antique sales. She loved old movies. As we know, she had a strong personality. She knew what she wanted, and it was helpful if you went along. She was a lot of fun. She was very outgoing. She had great people skills. They had a couples club, friends from high school. And as we know, she was a caretaker for a large part of her life. She took care of everyone. Our father took care of Ed when he was ill. She had good nursing skills. Mark, you had said that she was good looking and that she was cool, according to your friends. But when you said that she was the good looking mom among your friends, you also said, yeah, but the competition wasn't very high. Although we've seen pictures. I mean, she was good looking. Thank God it went to your sister. And of course, her dear sister, Sandra, said, that we lived in Kinsman, then Shaker Heights, and she was really a mom to me in a lot of ways. She told me a lot of those girl things Mom didn't tell me. My mom didn't tell me. She told me a lot of those girl things that, you know, you need to learn as you're growing up. My sister told me, and she took good care of you, and you were very, very, very close. She was a grandma. She was a professional grandma. She liked Hanukkah and matzo ball soup. She made a good noodle kugel, and which was the last thing she actually made for you. Noah said she really liked spending time with us. She took us to ride the train at Richmond Mall. And then we'd sleep over on the pull-out couch. She made French toast with cinnamon bread, like that Pepperidge Farm cinnamon bread. It's great French toast. She had a sweet tooth. She loved chocolate. Among us, probably very many don't love chocolate. It's good that she loved chocolate. She didn't cook on Wednesdays and Sundays. It was something in the ketubah, I think. She didn't cook on Wednesdays and Sundays. She liked to make reservations. She was very close to Michelle Letsky. They were very loving to one another. And Michelle's husband, Richard, would fix things in the apartment. You know, Mom needed something, she would call Richard. She would call him, he could come over and fix it. And on Tuesday, she breathed her last. And now there's no more pain or deterioration of her body or her mind. There's just rest. There's just wholeness and peace. And her soul is returning to God to be with the souls of her dear husbands, relatives, friends, and the ancestors of our people. We learn this in Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. So we will place the body in the ground, and the spirit is returning to God who gave it. So now Addie is at peace. One day all of us will join our dear loved ones in Olam Haba. Olam Haba is a time. This is a place. Olam Haba is not a place. Olam Haba is eternal life. It is a time. It's a spiritual existence. And you will be together getting advice from your mom and your sister and your mother-in-law and your dear grandma again. The family has allowed us to send along a couple of old prayer books. We've sent along an old prayer book, a well-prayed-from prayer book, and an old Haggadah, a well-prayed-from Haggadah, because not only is it a mitzvah to escort the body of your loved one to its final resting place, but also holy books of our tradition. You have many, many memories. Your memories are full to overflowing. And we give thanks to God for this gift of life, almost 90 years, and filled, so filled. So as you think of her, maybe you should consider making reservations. Maybe you should consider and actually make some French toast using cinnamon bread. It's fantastic. Eat some chocolate. Have a big heart. Take care of one another. Be more helpful. And let us make this year, this new year upon which we have entered, as good and positive as possible. Take good care of one another and do this in her loving memory. For only through the deeds which we perform can the world be compensated for the loss of this good and decent woman. So we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai natan, v'Adonai lakach, yehi shem Adonai mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, uya'ase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Ya'ase shalom, ya'ase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ya'ase shalom, ya'ase shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, upon the soul of our dearly departed Addie Davis. Let us say Amen. Please rise for Elmane Rachamim. If it's okay, I would like to turn around and face her as opposed to my back to her. I'll put the microphone this way. Into your care, we entrust the spirit of our dear Adeline Davis. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead. Know that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Ametzem Nucha Nechona, Tachat Karfei HaShechina, Im Kedoshim U'Tahorim, Kezohar HaKiyam Asirim, Et Nishmat Rasha eto bat Avraham v'min aracho shehalacha le'olama ba'al harachamim yasdibreha v'seter k'nafav le'olamim vayitzror b'tzror ha'chaim et nishmata Adonai hunacharata v'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava v'nomah Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Addie. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.
Amen.
May those who mourn the loss of our dear Addie Davis find comfort in the hope that though the dust returns to the earth as it was, the spirit returns to God who gave it. Death is not the end. Those we love have passed through the gateway of the grave into the peace of life eternal. We know that all of us must tread the same path, though we know not when the hour may come. Let us so live that the coming of that hour shall find us unafraid. May our deeds do honor to the memory of our beloved, whom you, O God, have taken to yourself. Trusting in your wisdom and your loving kindness, we will praise your name. Let us recite the Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbi, ba'alma
Divrach Hirutei v'yamlich malchutei.
v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei kol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehei shmei Rabbi v'barach le'olam v'amen maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitzadar v'yitzaleh v'yitzalach shmei Tudashah
Richu.
Le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata Damiran ba'alma v'imru amen.
Amen.
Yehi shlama rabba mishmaya v'chayim aleinu
Aleinu v'al Yisrael.
v'imru amen.
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al Yisrael v'imru amen. Anyone who wishes, beginning with the family, we will help escort the body to its final resting place. We place some earth on the casket. Shilacha Adonai. Go your way, for God has called you. Lech Adonai Ye'imach. Go your way, and may God be with you. V'halach lefanecha tzidkecha, kavod Adonai yaspecha. May your righteousness go before you, and may the glory of God receive you. Anyone who wishes to may come forward. Everyone not wearing a ribbon, please repeat these words after me, speaking them to the mourner. May God console you.
May God console you
With all who mourn.
with all who mourn
In Zion and Jerusalem.
in Zion and Jerusalem.
Addie will be on the Kaddish list at Temple Israel near Tamid and other congregations probably as well. She'll be on our Kaddish list for the Shloshim for the 30 days for four Friday nights, beginning tomorrow evening. Our services are at 6:30, and she'll be on the Kaddish list for Kol Nidre and also for Yom Kippur Day. And anyone who wishes to come may do so. It'll be our privilege to recite Kaddish for her, whether any family members are able to attend or not. But you're all welcome to come. This concludes our service here at the cemetery.
This concludes the Zoom service.